It's midnight and you're tuned in to Nightline with me, Adrian Seet. The top stories. PM launches a billion more AHB units for public subscription. And government scrutinizing cash rollout mechanism for subsidy. Thanks for joining us. Pelaburan Hartanah Berhad (PHB) on Tuesday announced the issuance of 1 billion additional units of Amanah Hartanah Bumiputra AHB scheme that was praised by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim in line with the government's commitment to raise Bumiputra wealth. This marks the fifth time PHB has increased its AHB units since it was established in 2010. That now amounts to 5 billion units. Anwar, in his speech at the launch of the additional units, also agreed to increase the individual investment limit for the fund to 1 million ringgit from 500,000 ringgit previously. The additional units are from PHB's recent asset injections, namely KPJ Damansara II Specialist Hospital in Kuala Lumpur, Marlborough College in Iskandar Puteri, and the re-evaluation of buildings, namely Menara One Centrum in Kuala Lumpur, Wisma Konsplan in Subang Jaya, and Maersk Warehouse, previously known as LF Logistics Warehouse in Shah Alam. PHB also aims to increase its overall assets to 25 billion ringgit by 2030 from 11 billion ringgit currently. Meanwhile, Anwar reminded government investment funds entrusted to safeguard the interests of Bumiputras not to betray the trust placed in them. He said this is because the government has already had a bad experience where additional injections of funds had to be provided to such companies in order to protect Bumiputra equity ownership.
Satu pihak lagi pengurusannya itu amat bobrok sehingga merusakkan dan merugikan. Pengalaman ini menyakitkan. Ya, kita lihat umpamanya Felda memerlukan suntikan 8.3 bilion ringgit kerana pengurusan yang leceh dan tata kelola yang lemah. Paling terakhir kita ada lagi yang melibatkan syarikat yang memerlukan suntikan 2.7 bilion, 23 bilion ringgit daripada kerajaan untuk menyelamatkan daripada terlepas daripada tangan Bumiputra.
Anwar also said he cannot allow such things to reoccur during his administration because they lead to financial waste for the government, adding that stern action will be taken against those involved in any abuse of power and misconduct. In other news, Anwar said the government is considering providing subsidies to the people directly through cash transfers to prevent leakages. The Prime Minister, however, said that the cash transfer option should not be implemented for all subsidies but only for specific ones. Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, pointed out that the proposal for cash transfer is a good idea as it has been used before.
Pendekatan sama ada cara langsung kepada rakyat melalui cash transfer yang memang difikirkan dalam beberapa isu lain yang kita akan umumkan yang lebih besar untuk mengelakkan ketirisan dan manfaat kepada asing. Okay.
Anwar said this during the Minister's question time at the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday. He also said, although the government has a policy to provide reasonable and fair assistance to everyone, including non-citizens, it is not necessary and unrealistic for any country to provide subsidies to foreign residents. Anwar added that the government's move to float the price of chicken and eggs in the market is also to ensure that only eligible citizens and not foreigners or the super-rich groups benefit from the subsidies provided. Despite this, he assured that plans are in place to prevent any increase in the prices of chicken and eggs, which could burden the people following the decision to float the prices for both food items. Since last year, the government has spent 3.7 billion ringgit in subsidizing the prices of chicken and eggs, which have also benefited approximately 3.5 million foreigners and the wealthy in the country. Earlier in Putrajaya, Anwar instructed public universities in the country not to refuse the admission of students who cannot pay fees because they are poor. The Prime Minister said this was to ensure that students from poor families also get to pursue a higher education.
Arahan tahun ini pertama kali dalam sejarah tidak ada anak kita dari mana sahaja, dari kaum mana juga yang miskin tidak mampu bayar yuran yang ditolak oleh universiti. Dia daftar dulu, kemudian dia lapor, beri dia ruang.
Speaking at the Finance Ministry's monthly assembly on Tuesday morning, Anwar stressed that the issue on fee payment can be resolved later by the relevant ministry or department. He said this after being informed that some students from Ampang and Tambun were refused admission to public universities because they could not afford to pay the registration fee. Anwar added that existing students who are unable to pay their study fees will also not be prevented from registering. The Election Commission EC has set a polling day for the Kaman parliamentary by-election in Terengganu on December the 2nd. EC Chairman Tan Sri Abdul Ghani Saleh said the nomination day is November 18th, while early voting is November 28th.
Daftar pemilih terkini sehingga daftar pemilih tambahan bulan Ogos 2023 yang dikemas kini sehingga 3 Oktober 2023. Di PPR bagi PRK Parlimen P040 Kaman Terengganu ini mengandungi seramai 100,041,790 orang pemilih.
He said the Kaman parliamentary by-election requires an allocation of 3.5 million ringgit. The EC, he added, has also appointed 2,102 election workers with 53 polling stations and 248 voting channels. The by-election is being held following a decision by the Terengganu Elections Court last September 26, annulling past candidate Che Alias Hamid's victory in the 15th general election after the petitioner Wan Muhammad Hisham Wan Abdul Jalil was able to prove that corruption had taken place during the election. A forensics report revealed that rainfall was the main factor that triggered the deadly Batang Kali landslide in December of last year. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said the landslide was due to heavy rainfall for 5 days prior to the incident as well as in the preceding month. In a statement on Tuesday, Ahmad Zahid, who chaired the Central Disaster Management Committee JKKTR, said the 5-day major cumulative rainfall was 118.6 millimetres, while the 30 days of cumulative antecedent rainfall measured 444.8 millimetres. Elaborating on the report, he said investigations did not find any strong evidence showing that anthropogenic or human activities contributed to the landslide. Ahmad Zahid said the full report could be accessed by the public on the National Disaster Management Agency on NADMA's website from 10 a.m. on Wednesday. The landslide occurred in the early hours of December 16th last year at the Father's Organic Farm campsite at Batang Kali in Hulu Klang, Selangor, killing 31 people including 13 children and injuring 61 others. Every year, Malaysia records several 100,000 road accidents. Often, the most vulnerable victims are children. Despite cars becoming safer and laws more stringent over the years, why does this continue to happen? FMT's Natasha Buse and Ainin Wan Saleh have the report.
On average, one Malaysian family loses a child every day. How? Road accidents. This somber reality was recently revealed by Deputy Transport Minister Datuk Hasbi Habibullah. So what's behind these grim statistics?
In many developing nations, Malaysia included, there is a notable lack of emphasis on child safety. In the case of Malaysia, the existing child seat and child helmet policy represent measures to enhance safety. Unfortunately, the utilization rates of this safety measure remain disappointingly low.
Law is part of University Putra Malaysia's Road Safety Research Centre. In 2022, they conducted a survey that found only 26% of motorists with children in urban areas use child seats. In rural areas, this figure stood at only 15%. It's no surprise then that children are especially vulnerable, and 10 years' worth of police data backs this up. The data show that most children under the age of 5 perish in accidents. In the case of 6 to 10-year-olds, many are injured or worse because they don't wear seat belts or helmets.
One effective strategy to encourage parents to prioritize their children's safety is by offering tax benefits or subsidies on child safety equipment as part of vehicle purchases. By making child helmets and car seats more affordable, more families are likely to adopt these safety practices, thereby protecting their children from potential road hazards.
Law says the old adage, "It takes a village to raise a child," rings true in this context. Keeping minors safe is not only the responsibility of parents, but also the public and policymakers. From a policy standpoint, the government must take the implementation of new child safety policies seriously. These policies should include mandatory safety bars on buses, elevated pedestrian walkways in school zones, and a prohibition on bicycle riding for children under the age of 10.
These policy measures, when combined, can significantly enhance child safety on the roads.
Natasha Bust and Ainin Wansaleh, FMT for Nightline.
Biryani is beloved by most, if not all, Malaysians. For a group of refugee and migrant women living in the Klang Valley, the dish not only represents a taste of home, but also serves as a symbol of hope. FMT's Danish Rajareza and Tan Chin Tung have the report.
Lost and worried. This was how Nazia, a mother of 5, felt when the borders closed during the COVID-19 pandemic. With her husband in India, the migrant housewife and her children found themselves on their own.
So me and kids were alone here, and that is when I met Mahi Ramakrishnan.
Then Mahi, an activist, set up a social enterprise to assist migrants and refugees during the lockdown. And they did it by cooking nasi biryani.
Started doing this in the MCO time, and it was the lifeline for us, like me and many other chefs.
The biryani was a hit. In just 1.5 years, the social enterprise was able to break even and start making a profit. Now, 100% of the sales go towards the 5 female chefs who earned around 2,000 ringgit each month.
The idea is also quite simple, to actually make sure that women are able to find a possible livelihood. Women are able to seek some form of financial independence so that they can put the money towards groceries, putting food on the table, making rent, sending their kids to school, as well as paying for tuition, and maybe even put aside a little bit of savings.
A simple idea, but one that's been life-changing for migrants like Nazia. These days, the 41-year-old spends her mornings cooking up a storm.
Sometimes even 2 we make, because we don't want to disappoint our customers. Even 2 we make, even 1 we make. Some special customers we have, they specifically ask us to make, we need the biryani for our guests. So we make. We don't disappoint our customers because we have 5 people, right? So anyone can take up the order, and everyone is in need of survival money, right? So.
But there are big orders too. Just a couple of weeks ago, Nazia prepared 50 servings of chicken biryani with chutney for students at the Somali Refugee Community Center. Big or small, the orders give the home cooks a huge opportunity.
Basically, the migrants and immigrants or refugees are not it's not that they cannot work, they can work, but the opportunities are very low here, very less. So they can't go out to few places to apply job, and few cannot go out because of the family situation. They might have small kids or sick people at home.
Moving forward, Mahi plans to secure funding to hire delivery riders instead of relying on P-hailing companies, which can be costly.
and also to expand the business to include other women who have shown interest, and also to pay Nazia, our chief chef now, to train these women so that we can make sure that the standard of the biryani that we actually send, is maintained.
Danish Rajareza and Tan Chin Tung, FMT for Nightline.
After this breather, man kills 2 Swedes shot dead. Stay with us. We're back with news from the foreign front. Some 1,200 people, amongst them around 500 minors, are believed to be trapped under the rubble in Gaza, waiting for rescue or recovery. Health authorities base the estimated number on the distress calls that they received. It was reported that amid Israel's relentless bombardment, screams could be heard from victims buried beneath destroyed buildings. However, authorities are unable to do anything about it due to the lack of resources and capabilities across all sectors amid a total blockade of the enclave. Currently, the Rafah crossing between Egypt and Gaza remains shut, and on the Egypt side is the international aid meant for Gazans. Whereas on the Palestinian side, thousands are waiting for that aid and hoping to leave Gaza amid continued attacks from the Zionist regime. To date, the number of Palestinians killed in the Gaza Strip has reached 3,000 people, while more than 12,500 others were left injured. Meanwhile, a draft resolution put forward by Russia calling for a ceasefire in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict was knocked down at the United Nations Security Council on Monday. The resolution received 5 votes in favor, 4 votes against and 6 abstentions. It was reported that those who voted it down were the US, the UK, France and Japan.
Совет в очередной раз оказался заложником эгоистических устремлений блока западных делегаций. Это единственная причина, по которой он не смог направить четкий, сильный коллективный сигнал, нацеленный на деэскалацию. А ведь речь идет о крупнейшей вспышке насилия на Ближнем Востоке за последние десятилетия.
Another resolution, which was drafted by Brazil, is set to be voted upon on Tuesday. Over in Belgium, a Tunisian man suspected of killing 2 Swedish football fans and wounding another in Brussels has died after being shot by police in a cafe on Tuesday. The 45-year-old suspect, Abdi Salem Al-Julani, was shot in the chest and died in hospital. The Monday night attack occurred as Belgium hosted Sweden in a 2024 Euro qualifying match at the King Boudoir Stadium, forcing the match to be abandoned at half-time. Shortly after the attack, the man who identified himself as a member of the Daesh claimed responsibility in a video posted online. The suspect then fled the scene as the football match was about to start, triggering a massive manhunt and prompting Belgium to raise its terror alert to the highest level. In light of this, Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson called on the European Union to bolster border controls and internal security, saying that the region could not afford to be naive. On to sports football, the 2023 Merdeka Cup. Malaysia's hope of a trophy for 2023 diminished as they suffered a 2-0 defeat to Tajikistan in the final on Tuesday night. The Harimau Malaya started the game very well, creating several good chances but failed to find the net. Tajikistan were sharper in front of the goal and found their opener just before the break through Rostam Siorov, following a quick counter-attack. Harimau Malaya went hard in search of an equaliser, but it was Tajikistan who sealed their win 7 minutes from the final whistle, again from a counter-attack, this time from Shakrum Samiev, the goal scorer. The victory gave Tajikistan their first Merdeka Cup trophy. Malaysia's Oscar-winning actor Tan Sri Michelle Yeoh made Malaysia proud again after she was voted onto the International Olympic Committee on Tuesday. The first Asian woman to ever win an Academy Award was elected by 67 votes to 9 with 1 abstention.
1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. 1 abstention. I never dreamt of being an actress, but as a child, I always dreamt of being an Olympian because, sports was very much part of my life growing up, and I was very much involved with squash, with athletics, with swimming, with diving and all that. And when you watch the Olympics, that is the epitome of the best of the best, and having that pride to be able to represent your family.
She was one of 8 new members voted in on the final day of the 141st IOC session in Mumbai, India. She and the other newly elected members then took the Olympic oath. The 61-year-old, who was accompanied in Mumbai by her husband, Jean Todt, the former president of motorsports governing body FIA, then received an IOC Member Medal from BARC.
Quiere decir que le pega el otro, Ulises, centro, Ulises, cabezazo, gol. ¡Gol! Fue Ulises Sánchez, Pacerini solo, venía por el segundo palo, Ulises Sánchez, está Sánchez, golazo. Bien, la continuó Pacerini para que la termine en 12.
When we return, over 10 million ringgit worth of contraband cigarettes, imported rice, seized. Stay tuned. Police have recorded statements from 6 witnesses to assist in the investigation over the death of a 2-month-old baby girl at a childcare centre in Petaling Jaya, Selangor last Tuesday. District Police Chief ACP Muhammad Fakhruddin Abdul Hamid said that in addition to the childcare centre staff, statements were also recorded from the victims' family members. At present, authorities are still waiting for the hospital's post-mortem report to determine the victim's cause of death. Previously, it was reported that police arrested a woman in her late 40s who is a babysitter at the nursery in Kota Damansara after she was summoned to the Petaling Jaya District Police Headquarters on Friday. The suspect, who is also a foreigner and married to a local, was subsequently released on police bail. The incident occurred on the second day when the victim, Kaseh Aulia Faizul, was sent to the childcare centre. The case is being investigated under the Child Act, relating to offences involving child abuse, neglect, abandonment or exposure to injuries. Meanwhile, in Malacca, the Customs Department has seized cigarettes, alcohol and imported rice worth over 10.3 million ringgit that were smuggled into the country between April and October the 1st. Its Deputy Director General Datuk Sazali Mohamad said the seizures were made through inspections carried out in several areas in the peninsula, especially in Port Klang, as well as patrols conducted by his team. He added during the period, customs enforcement personnel managed to foil 4 attempts to smuggle in over 11.75 million sticks of white cigarettes, 2 attempts to smuggle in 33,420 litres of alcohol, and 1 attempt to smuggle in 11,940 kilograms of imported rice. It was believed that the cigarettes and alcohol were smuggled in from neighbouring countries through the waterways in the east coast before being distributed to the southern areas of the peninsula for the foreign worker market. Over in Johor, a director of a construction company was fined 23,000 ringgit and imposed a penalty of 1.28 million ringgit by the Johor Bahru Magistrates Court for 2 counts of failing to file tax returns for the assessment years of 2019 to 2021. Magistrate Nur Fatin Muhammad Farid imposed the sentence on 38-year-old Yusof Ahmad after he pleaded guilty to both charges framed under the Income Tax Act. The court allowed him to pay the penalty in installments over a 12-month period from Tuesday. Up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at the Sydney Opera House over the years. One of the world's most photographed and iconic landmarks, the Performing Arts Centre will turn 50 on October 20th. With that, I'm Adrian Seet. Thank you for watching and stay safe, Malaysia.
The Sydney Opera House, some 3 years before it's due to be completed.